Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a podcast about movies. I am Jacob Barber, joined as always by Austin Howell. Austin, how's it going?
Oh man, it's going all right. Battling some kind of throat swelling, dry thing. I don't know. People around my store have it too, so something's going around as usual. But other than that, I'm all right. Doing pretty good. So always ready to talk movies with you, sir. Though no matter what.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk movies, but not just any movies. These movies are considered rotten
Hmm.
by
Not just rotten, like really rotten.
yeah, not like
Yeah,
they're hovering like around that 55 to 60.
yeah, where it's
I
like
always
half
felt
half.
weird that like under 60 was considered rotten. But I guess if you go by school standards, under 60 is also
That's an
failing.
F.
So
So yeah, and that's
I
probably
guess
what
it
they're
makes
going
sense.
by.
But
Yeah, I know. We're talking. We're going under that 30 mark. We're going like really rotten tonight
well,
with our
yeah,
picks.
and a
Yeah.
few of these a couple of them I was surprised. One of them that I rewatched, without my nostalgia glasses on. Maybe I get it now.
I know what that is.
Um, but for the most
I,
part,
I, I might have the same thoughts, so we'll talk about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So we're talking rotten movies that we like, or that we liked. Again, we'll get into it. But
It could be like last week, you know how last week we talked about Gotti, we talked like about one that like didn't work so well, maybe we can talk about the one that maybe we thought we did that didn't work so well on a rewatch, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
maybe some other ones that still do work, that sort of thing. I don't know, we can, if we have to put it in that perspective, we can work it in that way. So
yeah. Because I remember as like a teenager, absolutely loving this movie.
Mhm.
But then again, as a teenager, I hadn't seen a lot of movies, so maybe that played a factor. Because yeah, no, I thought Spawn was quite fun. And then you rewatch it now, and you're like, maybe I get that score. Maybe I get it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I rewatched this this week, and it's not great. I still there were moments that I enjoyed still, but um, it's got some pretty bad acting. The effects are super 90s. Um, and I don't know why I thought John Leguizamo as the clown was fun as a kid because now
Boy, is it not good now. Like it's
it's
irritating as shit
not.
now. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
his whole portrayal of that character was he seemed to be having fun with it, but I was not having fun watching it. So yeah, no, I will say one thing though before we completely bash on the movie because um, there's not a lot of redeeming things. There is one redeeming thing, and I think the makeup is still pretty
yeah.
good.
No, I was gonna start with some positives because we should start positive. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Let's get some positives. Yeah, I think up front the positive. I think yeah, I also think the makeup, the practical stuff that is in the movie is good. I think the makeup on Michael Jai White throughout the whole movie is pretty dang good. The burn, kind of makeup, the actual suit he has, like when he goes full Spawn mode, and the
mhm.
thing stuff he has on his face. I think that still looks really good because it's real. So some of the effects like when he's gearing up, it goes CGI a little bit, but when he's got it on and just running around, like I think that stuff looks pretty freaking good. So I'll say that John Leguizamo's makeup is good. Like his actual the fat suit thing he's got on, the clown makeup, that stuff is good. I will give him props for that. I think
Absolutely.
some of the set design and whatnot is atmospheric, like some of that stuff is okay, is good. It's very kind of dark and rainy and whatnot, what Spawn kind of should be. Always kind of like there's a storm overhead type of a thing,
Yeah,
always going on. But yeah, I mean, I think Michael Jai White is trying. I think he's
yeah,
trying with
yeah, absolutely.
what he's been given, and he hasn't been given a lot to work with. I do know, I think this is the only theatrical film this guy ever did. Mark Az Dipe or something. I don't know. Yeah, I looked up his filmography. He's done
Yeah,
some direct video stuff, but like this might be the only. He's mostly a special effects guy. That who kind of this was his only real thing because he's also done like The Reef 2, High Tide. It's like a Finding Nemo ripoff, you know. And he did the most recent Marmaduke movie that like nobody watched, you know, like that's all CGI. It's bad. But he did do some visual stuff. He was a visual effects guy on Jurassic Park, on The Abyss, on The Shallows. Like he's got some pedigree as far as visual effects stuff goes, you know. So I'll give him that. So maybe that's his calling. Maybe directing is not quite his calling, you know, and what actually happened.
Yeah, because it seemed like the visual effects maybe took a back seat in this movie at times. Because yeah, man, you can tell that '90s CGI.
It's bad.
It's not good. I don't know if that had to do with the budget or whatnot. Maybe they just didn't have a big enough budget. Yeah, you can clearly tell.
The worst is the stuff in Hell with like the creature that's like running the show. It's so like I've seen it looks like a PlayStation 1 cutscene. Like that's how bad it is. Like literally like first generation PlayStation bad. Like it's really, really bad. And you know, there's some slightly better stuff like when Violator turns into his like lizard creature or whatever. It's still bad, but it looks like the Mortal Kombat reptile, you know, from 95.
Right.
Like that's got that 90s aesthetic. But like the Hell stuff is the worst. That looks like bad, really bad early video game stuff, and it looks horrendous anytime they go to that. That's the worst overall.
Yeah. I guess like I said, I haven't seen this since I was a teenager, so I didn't remember how bad it was. I guess now that we're being spoiled with all these practical effects and all this good CGI, it's very much more noticeable. But we've gotten movies, you know, before Spawn that had really good CGI and you know visual effects and stuff. So I'm just gonna chalk it up to they didn't have the budget for it. So
I will say one more positive. Martin Sheen is the villain. He's not giving a good performance, but it's almost a so bad, like chewing the scenery. It's kind of fun performance. You know what I mean? Like it's a very like, he doesn't have a mustache, but he's got a beard, but it's a very like mustache twirly villain performance where it's just like, I'm going to take out the whole world. You know, like just, it's very over the top. I'm just being an over the top comic book villain to where I think he might be self-aware of what he's trying to do. Like he knows he's in a comic book movie, so he's trying to play over the top comic book villain, and I think he's at least kind of fun to watch, I will say, like in his scenes. Like it's not like one of his all-time. This ain't Apocalypse Now. Like this ain't one of his great performances.
No,
but you know, it's I think he's trying to have some fun with what he's been given, at least a little bit. You know?
Yeah, he read the script and he's like, okay, this is the type of movie we're making.
Yeah.
So this is the type of performance I'm getting.
He looked at the script and went, well, I'm not going to get another comic book movie till Amazing Spider-Man, so I might as well, you know, do something now. He looked into the future.
I'm definitely not going to be Uncle Ben anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought I liked this. And again, there's still fun moments to be had. Like you said, Martin Sheen's performance is not great but fun. Michael Jai White is trying, good makeup, but just there's some really terrible moments of acting here, and I don't know if they just thought the audience wouldn't notice, but there is no way that Terry and whoever he was talking to on the computer should have been able to hear each other or see each other. Because there was no camera anywhere that I could see, or a microphone.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they just like thought they were in a futuristic world where that didn't matter, or what. But and he was like doing the touchscreen thing, and I'm like,
yeah. I always find it funny when you go to these. When you go to these 90s movies that are a tad futuristic or whatever, and how much they invested in mini discs, then that never came around. You know, all these movies have like the small like mini discs, and like Demolition Man has the same thing. Like a bunch of the movies have, you know, small disc. Eraser does this. And like I guess they thought that was going to be bigger than what it was, because that definitely didn't happen in real life. Now everything's just in the cloud, just like digital, or we just went to thumb drives, you know, USB drives, and that kind of replaced like mini discs or whatever, you know. So I don't know, man. They put a lot of stock in small discs in these movies, and even the way the CD went, you know, is pretty much gone by now. Not a whole lot of people, you know, even have CDs or CD-ROMs and whatnot, even in their laptops.
No, yeah, no, I brought my laptop with me on a trip one time, and a movie because I
Yeah.
thought it had a CD drive, and
Yeah.
I discovered it does not. And it's a fairly new laptop too. So yeah,
Mhm.
the discs are strictly for like Blu-ray and 4K players now, and gaming
Yeah.
consoles. Even some gaming consoles. Like I know there's a version of the PS5 that's all digital.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but the Lego Zamo thing, yeah, I think I used to like it too when I was younger. But man, like this one, I forgot how much he's in the movie. I didn't remember him being in this much of the movie, and he's in like
right,
every other scene of the movie. Like he's all over this movie for like a lot of it, like
yeah,
way more than I remember him being in. He pops up constantly. He butts his way into every single scene, and it's like he's got like fart jokes and he's eating maggot pizzas and he's in a cheerleader outfit like at one point like cheering on Spawn and like I'm like what are we doing dude, like did we think like did you just let him improv everything and kept it all in, or I don't know what the fascination was with this. I think that's a character that could have been interesting, you know, the way he's playing both sides, but there's just too many bad jokes and just embarrassing dialogue,
mhm,
and it's not good. It's really like it becomes very very grating like very very quickly. Halfway through the movie I was like, oh my god, stop showing up, just go away. Just enough already. Like yeah, I think I used to like it too, but it did not work for me at all this time, like at all.
yeah. I even noticed during the opening credits, he was the first one listed before Michael Jai White too. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know about the end credits because I stopped watching them when they did the whole shaky thing. I was like, that's kind of annoying. I will
Yeah,
say though, the music I kind of dug the music. Um,
the
some of the
music wasn't
music
bad.
was really good. It really felt like a '90s soundtrack.
Yeah,
Which I, I'm a fan of '90s music. So um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when 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 we go to my birthday episode, there may or may not be a lot of '90s music referenced. Just as a just as a heads up.
That's fine. That might be the music I actually know is stuff from the '90s, so that'll work. That'll work for
Right.
me personally.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I finally have narrowed it down that I'm gonna do my 64 favorite albums.
Okay,
So yeah, there will be some '90s in there. Um, maybe even a couple by a band that you really like as well, so you can have that to look forward to.
nice. There you go. All
So,
right,
but we're not here to talk music, although I could talk
of
music
course.
all day too. But no,
Hey, we
let's
talked about a music biopic last time, so yeah,
right.
yeah.
Uh, let's get into one of your choices, and this was a first time watch for
For
me.
you.
We'll jump into the 1994 movies first. Um, with Baby's Day Out sitting at 19%.
Yeah, whopping
And so
19.
yeah, why don't you? So yeah, you chose this one. You said you really like this one. So
Yeah, this is just one that again, I mean, the nostalgia glasses are a little bit on this one, but I really tried to watch it as, you know, kind of a straight movie on this last rewatch. And it's just a movie I think, again, I miss these sort of 90s family films that, you know, don't you know, that are pretty safe but have still really funny stuff. And we'll talk about your pick as well. I think kind of falls into this category. But I think what I like about this movie is the, you know, the three guys, you know, Joe Montana, Joey Pants, and Brian Haley, you know, as the kind of the three, you know, kidnappers, the thugs. It's just so much like Three Stooges material. It's what
yeah,
it's completely Three
yeah.
Stooges, and I love Three Stooges. And this might be the best Three Stooges movie we've ever had because it's certainly better than the 2012 one.
Oh
You know, and
yes,
anything else we've gotten, there's a bad TV movie from 2000 that's not very good either, that I've seen a couple of times, but it's very much just like Three Stooges slapstick once it gets going, and it's almost the same situations as they would do in their short films. You know, you got them trying to change a baby and feed a baby. That's the Stooges did that. It's them, running around a construction site or whatever. Like the Stooges did that. It's them running around, dealing with animals and gorillas. The Stooges did that plenty of times. Like I think somebody involved with this movie, maybe John Hughes is a big fan of the Three Stooges. I don't know, he might be. I didn't really look into it. But the storyline is very basic. It's like they kidnap a rich guy's baby and want ransom. He gets out, because they're bumbling idiots and are chasing him all around the city, and he keeps kind of stumbling his way into all these situations that are in his favorite book, his Boo Boo, his his Boo Boo. The baby's dad. He's kind of memorized all the pictures, so he sees birds, he sees a bus, a taxi cab, a zoo, a building under construction, et cetera, et cetera. And so they're kind of chasing them all around, and that's the main kind of thrust of the story. But I like the fact that it's like they really are the main characters, them and the baby, like Laura Flynn Boyle and the husband are like barely characters in this movie. You get a little bit of them at the beginning. They pop in and out, like just to be serviceable and kind of check in. Cynthia Nixon really has a bigger role than anybody else. The Sex and the City woman, as the nanny, has kind of more to do than even they do. But the main antics are what really bring you back. I just think the slapstick is actually really well done. I think the guys have chemistry together. Like it works. The stuff is legit. The gags are legitimately funny, like for me, and I still laugh at a lot of them. And then just how the baby just again stumbles into everything in these Rube Goldberg kind of situations, going from this to that thing, and it just works for me, man. I just think it's a fun, breezy movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, and still has some good stuff in the center of it. But I don't know, what'd you think, man? This is your first time watching this movie, so. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought this was really fun. I didn't realize that when we chose these, how similar our movies were going to be in a lot of ways.
Well, 1994 had a bevy of family films, so it's like there's a lot to choose from. If you want to choose a family movie from '94, oh my God, there were so many, including the two we talked about tonight. But
because '94 was just a great year for movies.
Yeah, it sure was.
So, no, I thought it was fun. I thought the slapstick stuff was really good. I think my favorite bit was when what's his name, Joe Mantegna falls from the building and he's just like grabbing onto everything as he's falling down.
Oh yeah,
and then he
hits like the air conditioning. Then he's got like the little bird feeder with suction cup and stops him, and then he continues to fall. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of those types of bits. Joey Pants, when he's falling from like the construction building, like falls and like lands chest first on like a board, and then the board slides and he falls more, and then he hits another thing on the way down, then goes to it's one gag after another, but I think
it's so
works.
good.
It's so funny.
People in the 90s were just built different because a lot of that would kill the normal person.
Oh, of course it would.
I loved the stuff with the gorilla and him kind of just protecting the baby, and I thought that stuff was really good. Yeah, I think the three guys had really good chemistry with each other, and the baby was adorable as always. And of course, where do they find all these twins? It's always twins.
Well, it's twins, and fun fact: the stunt baby was Vern Troyer, aka Mini-Me from Austin Powers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I actually mentioned that to him. I got to meet Vern Troyer before he passed away at a convention, and he signed like a little Austin Powers thing for me. But I was like, man, I noticed you were in Baby's Day. He's like, oh, I did a bunch of stunt stuff back in the day for that sort of thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and then the parents were just kind of there, like. We didn't get a lot with them, but I think the mom and the nanny had a nice, emotional moment between the two of them, where I thought it could really turn into, the mom blaming the nanny and stuff, but we didn't get that. It was just them. They were all, worried about finding the baby. And my only thing is, like, you could definitely tell that this is the 90s because there's no way, like, nowadays anybody would leave their child alone with somebody that they don't know.
Yeah, right.
I love the fact that they use like newspaper letter or magazine letters to leave the ransom note.
Yeah. That's very 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought there were a lot of great gags here, a lot of good slapstick, a lot of good physical comedy.
I think Joe Montana's performance when the baby's under his coat on the park bench and lighting,
Oh,
his
that
junk
is
on fire with the
hilarious.
lighter, his performance is hilarious, like is legitimately hilarious. Like his physical, doing the little bits with the lines. My car's been having battery trouble. Will you just stop by to admire the beautiful flowers? And he's just, he's freaking out, and then just again, all the banter back and forth between the guys and like how they try to solve all the problems was just really funny. And all that gorilla stuff. The gorilla suit looks good, by the way.
Yeah.
The actual special effects look pretty good. But all that stuff is great, and it's just a very physical comedy movie with all these bits that I could just keep watching because they just make me laugh. It's very classic slapsticky stuff.
Oh,
that I
absolutely.
like.
Yeah, I don't understand how it's at 19%.
I don't know.
Maybe in the scope of what was 1994, they thought, this doesn't quite measure up to the Pulp Fictions and Shawshank. But you know what? That doesn't matter because this is a fun, like you said, slapstick comedy. We got three leads here who are working really well together. Some fun gags with the baby. I love that the baby can cross the street with no problem, but the guys are like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, and there's a funny bit where he's like, babies crawling in traffic tend to draw attention, don't you think? Nope. And people just keep driving right over him. There's some good cutaways to things like that are funny. I got my ex with a line from this movie one time that was really funny, just in real life. Just a quick aside. We were at her family's house, and they had a new her sister had a new baby, so a new nephew, and she was trying to change the diaper, and she couldn't figure out which side was the front or the back. And I pulled a line from this movie, and I said, "Are there pockets in the front?" And then she actually looked for the pockets, and I just started laughing, and I said, "You fell for it. Of course, there's not pockets in the front." Like, I think there's some legitimately funny bits, like funny like lines of dialogue and jokes in here too. All that stuff for Joey Pants is trying to sing, like read the book, and he can't read. He's trying to sound out all the words. He's singing the horribly messed up version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Then she went to unemployment. It's just it's good stuff. And that Brian Haley guy, he's been in a bunch of things in the 90s. He was in Little Giants, another 94 family film. He's in Mars Attacks, the Tim Burton. He's in a bunch of stuff. So he pops up everywhere. But man, like I think it's just way smarter and way, it's just silly. Like, you can't take yourself too seriously. It's just silly, and I just think it's really fun. That's why I had it on our guilty pleasure tournament way back then on Tournament Fights. I just like this movie. I think it's a fun time.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'll probably if I just want to turn something on in the background, like this is definitely going to be an option.
Yeah, well, because you can turn it on, and anytime like Laura Flynn Boyle or Fred Thompson shows up to do their thing, like that's when you can like check your phone for a minute, like whatever, and then you get back to the guys in the bits, like the funny bits, and there you go. You just pay attention to that, and it's fine. It's great.
I think this movie is hilarious.
It was really funny.
I'm glad it's streaming on Disney Plus until I can find it on physical media, because I wouldn't mind having this one in the collection if it's on.
I own it on DVD. I don't think it's ever had a Blu-ray, unfortunately. A lot of these Disney like live action movies just don't have Blu-rays. I have like an old DVD, but I streamed it on Disney Plus just because it's in a better aspect ratio. But it's out there, but it's kind of but no Blu-ray, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then we didn't mention it, but boy, is that baby smart, because he knew just where his boo boo was at the end of the movie, and helps.
Yeah, we're going back to the TikTok to get the boo boo.
And then I don't know, was there a sequel to this? Because he pulls out the baby, goes to China, and I'm like, do we get that movie?
No, we never got that movie. I don't know. I'd have to look up to see how much money this movie made. I don't know if it was a hit or not. Because it was directed by, Patrick Johnson. It was written by John Hughes. Again, it's probably why the dialogue is at least decent and the jokes are pretty good. But I'd have to see how much it made. So $48 million budget, and it only grossed $16 million. So that's why. Didn't quite do it. Yeah, unfortunately. So what are you gonna do? It was kind of It came out right in the middle of summer, July 1st, a July 4th
Mm.
weekend. That's weird. That's a bad time to release a movie like this, honestly. If you put this movie out in, March or October, I think you do a little bit better. There's not a lot coming out.
Yeah.
It probably would have had a little more family stuff going on. Because that had to be right in the middle of a summer. And summer in the 90s, did have legitimate blockbusters and big movies going on, and you try to release this movie, not gonna work.
Right.
Mhm.
So no, good choice. And yeah, like I said, it was kind of unintentional on my part because I had not seen Baby's Day Out. But yeah, The Little Rascals uh,
Mhm.
is kind of also dealing with the physical comedy and the gags, and this felt like it was just like a series of shorts
Yeah.
that they put together that had a cohesive storyline. Because this movie is only like an hour and 22 minutes. It breezes by.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I also just chose this one because I hadn't seen this in a while, and I'm like, what, I wouldn't mind rewatching Little Rascals, and this seems like the perfect excuse to do it. And it made up for Spawn, so that was good.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but no, yeah, because this was one that I remember watching as a kid and just absolutely loving it. Maybe because this movie is basically it's all kids. The adults have very little to do here, and we just spend all this time with the kids. The He-Man Woman Haters Club, as they're called. Um, and yeah, I didn't know until just recently that this was based on an
The old
existing
school.
show already. Yeah, I had no idea.
Funny you should mention that. So I am a fan of the old school Little Rascals, and I was going to talk about this just a little bit on the show. But there's my DVD set of all the old shorts. I used to have these videos, VHS tapes that my parents got me back in the day. And they were videos, and they would each have about 4 or 5 of the old Little Rascal shorts, mostly from the 30s. And yeah, and a lot, they were hosted by Leonard Maltin, the movie critic, because he wrote a book about our gang. They were called Our Gang, and he wrote a book about them. So he hosted these videos and would kind of introduce the shorts and whatnot, just give you a little background on them. And yeah, I watched a lot of these. I had several of those videos. They used to come on occasionally if you'd catch them on TV, but mostly just those videotapes I watched kind of over and over again until they finally put out this big set and released all of them. But they used to do some silent shorts, and then most of them in the 30s. But the same characters, it's Spanky, it's Alfalfa, it's Buckwheat, Darla, and a host of others. Porky is in there, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just them getting into different shenanigans. Exactly like this movie. One episode would be. The most famous one probably ever is one called The Kid from Borneo. I might have to link it to you after the show because I want to link you a few of these so you can get maybe an idea of like how the old ones work. But they're still really funny, where they mistake this wild man from Borneo for they think he's their uncle because they have a mix up of the show that he's going to perform. Excuse me. But and they get into some shenanigans at the house. They put on musical shows sometimes. They would sing and dance and do some things in between. They would sometimes put on plays. So some stuff you might like where they actually do music and some cool stuff. There's a little nod to the excuse me, sorry, my throat is killing me. I'm so sorry. But when Alfalfa in this movie is about to perform on stage at the talent show, and he goes and he grabs the mic and goes, "I'm the barber of Seville." That's a nod to the old shorts. He did a whole short where he tried to be an opera singer, and when he just wanted to sing the
Oh,
Barber of
nice.
Seville. So that's a nod to that if you catch it. There's a whole thing about the Barber of Seville in there. But yeah, there's little nods like that throughout the movie. But yeah, they were really kind of fun, like 15-20 minute shorts. Like a lot of those were back in the day. But I think they kind of nailed the representation because in the casting of the new one, because Stymie was always, he wore the hat and he was always a little more well spoken than everybody else, kind of a pseudo leader. Spanky was the leader, but he was always a little cynical, and always took himself a little too seriously. Alfalfa was his best buddy, but they would quibble sometimes and do their things. Porky and Buckwheat were very young, on the show and kind of, but it's true they even in the shorts they kind of were like a little buddy duo how they are in this movie, always kind of doing their own little adventures. I like all the bits with them in the movie, like all
Yeah,
the little times we just cut to them just doing stuff. They're cute, just doing their thing.
I got a dollar. I
I
got a
got a dollar.
dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just arguing over pickles, I think they stink. I love pickles. Just it's silly stuff, but it's fun. And again, this movie's just cute and it just nails again that tone of like it's exactly like what you said. There's not much adult involvement. All the adult roles are basically just cameos from different people throughout the movie, which I'm totally fine with.
Right. Yeah.
From famous, other actors and whatnot. I mean, what do you get? You get Mel Brooks, Daryl Hannah, Leah Thompson, Donald Trump, Whoopi Goldberg, Reba McEntire, George Wendt, whoever else, pops up here and there. But yeah, it's nothing but cameos, but none of them have like a lot of relevance to the story. It's just about the kids trying to get some money to rebuild their clubhouse that gets burned down because of some mishaps, So it's very simple but a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, just like Baby's Day Out, I think there's just a lot of good gags and moments throughout the movie. Like Spanky and Alfalfa doing ballet, and Alfalfa, with the bubbles during the talent show.
Just the kids trying to put out the fire, as firemen. There was a fireman short. There was an old Little Rascal short where they pretended to be firemen and they tried to go put out like a real fire, like at like a clubhouse. That's a total gag from one of the original ones. I think it's called Hooks and Ladders or something like that. I can link you to that short. You can see them kind of doing the same gags. They trade the old gag. The bucket goes down the line. There's nothing left in it. Now there was a bit that I did notice when I watched it this time, because I watched it on Tubi because it was on there. Yeah. I used to see an extended version with some extended stuff on TV because I think the movie was so short they had to actually add in a few scenes. There's a longer bit with Mel Brooks where the Amish guys actually go in and have a scene with him that wasn't on the Tubi version.
I was wondering.
Yeah, where it's going, essentially, when they pass him by. The whole bit is that they go in and he says, make sure you see the man in the back. And so they go in because they're going to make a deposit. And they go in and see Mel Brooks and he kind of glances at him, sees him in the peripherals. He goes, I thought I told you to get out of here. And he reaches for the beards and he pulls it and it's the real beards. And, and he freaks out. Oh, my God. And he goes, oh, and the guys go, okay, we'll take our $2 million someplace else. And he goes, no, he freaks out. So they have a little scene that's in the TV version. It's not in here. There's another bit in the firefighter version where because like in that they go to call 911. What quick? What's the number for 911? I don't know. And they just walk away. The fire station's right there. There's a quick bit where they see a fire truck coming down the street, so they're like, "Yay!" and it turns and goes another way. Just going to another call. And they just bits like that where just extended little parts that I remember that weren't in this version. Because I was like, what happened to that little bit of this and that, so a few little things that I noticed were not in the Tubi version, but I think it's just because there's an extended TV cut because this movie's only 82 minutes. Most of the time you need a 90-minute movie to fill out a 2-hour time slot with 30 minutes of commercials.
Right. Yeah. No, there's just so many good gags. I forgot that Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen
I was going to mention that. I forgot that too. You get an Olsen twins cameo in here. Yeah.
And then the Waldo, there's I knew that the guy who plays Waldo had showed up in Full House, but I didn't know that one of the main cast members was also in this movie. Because that's it looked like they were just like, all right, who is a good child actor in 1994? Let's get him.
Yeah,
you got Full House represented. You had the Fresh Prince represented with the kid who plays Nicky, Ross Bagley or whatever his name is.
Buckwheat. He's the Fresh Prince kid. Yeah, the little kid on there. Bug Hall was in other 90s family. He's in the Big Green, the soccer movie. He's in Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, the direct-to-DVD third movie, playing the older baby. He did a couple of 90s family films and went on to do some stuff. A couple of people that you recognize. Cortland Mead, who plays Aha, was in some stuff. I tried to look him up. I
thought that was so funny at the end of the movie when he's like, well, actually, I have quite an extensive vocabulary. I just
chose not to employ it. Yeah. Raven Simone has a cameo at the end of that.
Yeah.
Siamese girlfriend from That's So Raven. So she's in there as well. Yeah. Another cameo.
Yeah, some really good cameos. And when Spanky finds out that, AJ Ferguson is actually a woman, and
Yeah,
they're a woman haters club. You're the best driver in the world. And like,
yeah.
see, Little Rascals was feminist before feminists were cool.
Yeah, but all that He-Man Woman Hater stuff, that's all straight from the old shorts as well. Like
Is
there's
it
a whole
okay?
short where he like starts the club. He's like, let's start a club right now. The He-Man Woman Haters, and like there's a whole short. I can link you to some of these and you can see a little bit of their shenanigans. A lot of them are on YouTube
Mhm.
actually. So
Okay.
there's a channel that's uploaded a whole bunch of them, for free. So I can link you to a couple of the more sort of recognizable ones. But yeah, all that stuff is from the shorts. And I think, the people who made this at least had a reference for that, and a kind of a respect. And again, made it about the kids and not so much,
Yeah.
they try to. I mean, of course, they have to have a rough plot line with a couple little subplots. Alfalfa and Darla and Waldo's little love triangle subplot. You have Butch and William, the two, bullies running around, throughout the movie. It's
I,
typical '90s bullies, Butch
I
and William.
forgot. I forgot it was Worm, and I thought
William.
like they were just. I thought Tubi's subtitles just didn't spell worm correctly,
No,
and
it's
then we get to the
William.
credits and it's
Yeah,
actually Worm, and I'm like,
William.
okay,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
nope,
No, no, they
that's
did.
not a mistake on their part.
Not incorrect, yeah. I mean, but typical, bully shenanigans with them, just chasing them around. And yeah, one of the subplots is that they steal the Blur, their go kart, and give it a paint job, so they have to, get a new one. It all leads up to this go kart race. Like, so they're trying to fix their clubhouse, but also it works in that they end up having some money, for the prize money because Buckwheat makes a mistake and grabs an admission thing for the talent show and they put a bunch of money in there, by accident. One of my favorite little gags, quick gags, and I think I even played it on a Seen and Heard one time, is when they're trying to do their little show at the fair, come on in, and they're like, come in and see the incredible 4-foot man eating chicken, and it's just a dude with a fake mustache eating bucket of chicken. Like I thought that was actually legitimately, that still makes me laugh. That's a legitimately funny joke.
Yeah, there's a
Like,
lot of really clever stuff here.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so yeah, I don't know if people just didn't like humor in 1994 because I don't get the score for these last two movies because I think both of them are hilarious and I think they're easily rewatchable. Is it the best child acting you're going to see? No, but are the gags fun? Is the comedy there? Absolutely. So
And does it do what family movies and kids movies need to do? Be under 90 minutes? Yes. And
yeah,
breezes by. It's not that hard, people. Make these movies under 90 minutes. You can get the job done, especially for kids. If it's a
right.
movie's for kids with a lot of kids in it doing kid things, make it under 90. You can do it. This movie's proof of that, for
Yeah,
sure.
this movie is great, and yeah, I'm gonna have to watch some of that older stuff. I noticed on Tubi it had the Little Rascal Show, and then I looked at it, and it's got like two random episodes from season 2, and I'm like, oh well,
Yeah. No, a
okay,
lot of them are on YouTube. I'll link you some after the show, like just through Messenger or whatever. At least a couple of my favorites, or some of the more, like I said, more iconic ones because they're fun. Again, it's all kid centric. Like there's a few adults running around here or there, but it's mostly just again the kids getting into shenanigans, like
nice.
in one situation or another. So yeah, it's a good time, and you'll be astonished at how well they casted this movie, kind of based on the show. Everybody kind of hits their marks as far as the characters go as well. Oh,
Okay.
there's one other quick side gag I forgot about that made me laugh out loud literally while I was watching it at the gym. When they do the dream sequence, when Alfalfa's doing his dream sequence, when he's on the cliff with Darla, and it's the choose or die, dream sequence,
Mhm.
and they're all in like night outfits and stuff. They cut randomly to Buckwheat and Porky playing bagpipes for no reason. And I thought that was funny. Like just like I was just like, why? That was hilarious. I don't know why. It made me laugh. So that was fun. And the little, again, some clever bits where they're going back and forth in that sequence, getting scared by the lightning, and they're going, boys, smell,
Oh
girls are
yeah,
weird. And then the final button is and the worst part is they like to moon you. And they cut to Buckwheat. He goes, no, we don't. Clever little bits. I thought they were
yeah,
funny. Like they work. So yeah,
yeah.
good stuff.
I mean, I kind of wish the movie was more successful because maybe we could have gotten a revival of the shorts or something,
They
which I
did
think would have
make
been fun.
a direct to video additional movie in 2014 called The Little Rascals Saved the Day, which I've seen. It's just not as good. It's
Mhm.
it's 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 like it's somewhat watchable, but and kind of well casted, but it's way more focused on the adults, which is the problem. Way more
They're
adults.
not the little rascals.
Yeah, it's just way more adult plotting going on in that one. With the kids more as like the side thing. It's just not as good. So yeah, that was the closest we ever got to that. But yeah, the old shorts are worth watching. I'll link you to some.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, and now we're just gonna totally switch gears here.
From some nice family entertainment to something else that's fun for the whole family. Yeah,
fun for the whole family.
Yeah, right.
While abiding to this, and this was another one that you chose that you really enjoy. So yeah, why'd you choose this one?
I had always known this one was under 30% just offhand, because I remember like occasionally just going to look at it or whatever and being like, oh my God, 26, like what happened? Like, I think this movie's really clever and like unique and blends a lot of kind of different genres into one thing. But I also just think it's fairly well done for what it is. Yeah, I mean, and if you actually go on IMDb, it has like a 7.4. It's rated pretty highly on IMDb, and even the audience score is 75, instead of 26. So obviously the audiences have connected to it way more than critics did, and really liked it. Yeah, another F. Gary Gray movie, by the way. We talked about Straight Outta Compton,
right?
But yeah, this is another one that he did. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know, the basic setup is Gerard Butler plays this guy Clyde, who in the opening sequence there's a home invasion, and they they do some bad things to his wife and daughter and kill them, in the process. And yeah, he's trying to get, at least justice, through the legal system. Jamie Foxx is the prosecutor, and they kind of end up, he just, settles for a confession from the other guy who was involved but didn't really do the worst things, who deserves to go to jail, but he didn't do the worst of the worst stuff, and the other guy kind of basically, he still goes to jail, but only for like 5 years or something. He basically gets off almost scot-free, taking like a plea deal. And he feels like the whole system, not just not just Jamie Foxx, but like, the judge, the whole judicial system, everything, everything has just failed him. And he's a patient man, because about, 10 years later, he comes back and all of a sudden there's a series of crazy crimes and whatnot and that start to happen. And he is kind of taking his revenge on everybody sort of involved, starting with the guy who actually committed the crimes, but going further than that, going to all the lawyers, the judge, some of the other, investigators, whatnot. And through this crazy sequence, he's in jail, but people are still dying, things are still happening, and you don't know what's going on. You're just like, how the hell is he killing everybody while he's in solitary confinement, while he's in chains? They just talked to him 2 minutes ago, but now, cars are blowing up, things like that. And I just think I remember when I saw it initially, because I thought the trailers were good. I thought the concept was good. I just didn't know where the movie was going. And I legitimately didn't know. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, how is all this stuff happening? It was a good mystery. It kept me on my toes. The twists and turns were legitimately good. Even the finale, which some people have, somewhat criticized. I like the finale for what it is and for how it actually ends and how he gets kind of the tables turned on him, at the end. I don't mind that stuff at all. But yeah, I just think it's a really, really solid thriller with some good twists and turns. There's a little bit of horror in there, like a little bit of Saw. There's a little bit, some psychological stuff. There's some head trip mind games where he's messing with Jamie Foxx, trying to make deals and like, you give me something, I'll give you something. Some definitely like some good cat and mouse kind of stuff back and forth. And yeah, I just think it's a really, really good thriller. It just moves along with some legitimately good performances too.
Yeah, I think this is a good, little crime mystery thriller. My only issue is at some point I was like, well, who do I side with?
I think that's the point though.
And I get his point. Like, is it like whose side am I on? I'm on both of their sides. So shoot.
It's a very moral F. Gary Gray area.
Yeah.
see what I did there. But anyways, but yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the point. Is like you see why he's frustrated. Obviously, he had his whole life turned upside down and taken from him. So you get where he's going. At least with the initial guy, you're like you're
Yeah.
with him. You're like
Yeah, that part I get, and then it's like
he tortures the guy and he picks him apart. Oh my god, the stuff that he does to that dude. I can only imagine like how horrific that stuff is. Because he's.
Even though they only tell us and they don't show us, I'm like,
You can imagine, all the stuff he described. You're like, oh my god, yeah. Sometimes that's the best way to go. You don't have to show everything.
right.
Your imagination takes it. But yeah, I mean, you see where he is as far as that goes. But yeah, he starts to take it too far to where you're like, did Leslie Bibb deserve to get killed? She was just kind of a paralegal assistant. Like, I don't think she deserved it.
Yeah,
you know?
I was like, was she even involved in the case at all, or was she just
not really? She was like kind of an
there?
intern, like paralegal. Like she didn't like orchestrate any of this stuff, like I get why he's mad at Jamie Foxx. Like I get that because he didn't seek the justice, that he thought, and he turns his table, things a couple times where he's like, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court, that sort of stuff. So, I mean, yeah, it's all about how far a guy goes. And yeah, you start to side with somebody, but then you see him going too far and you turn on him. And I think it's very similar to the turn that Rob Zombie does with in The Devil's Rejects. And I know, not everybody loves that movie, but I love that movie because you almost feel sympathetic for the Firefly family with what Sheriff Wydell is doing in the end. But then you also remember that they also killed and did horrific things to many, many people. Right. And you go like, yeah, no, I don't, I should, but it makes you question kind of, your own morals and whatnot. And I like movies that do that challenge you a little bit in that aspect, and I don't think there has to be a clear cut, like hero and villain necessarily. You can have those gray area characters, and you come around to Jamie Foxx at the end when he does eventually kind of, start to do the right thing and realize, what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wasn't sure where they were going with this character at first. Once we hit that 10-year jump, I was like, oh, is he going to be one of those guys who, focuses on his career too much and it's going to cost him in the end, like, because he's not really paying attention or spending time with his family like he should. Like, obviously he cares for his family, but he's just not there as much as he should be. Right. Obviously he's got a very demanding job. But yeah, no, I totally see the moral thing. I get why he goes after the first person, absolutely,
of course.
But everything after that, I was like, I think now you're pushing it, and yeah, I kind of, Jamie Foxx is right. Maybe you should just stop and just like, hey, let's tone it down a little bit.
Well, there's that one little bit where he actually gets Clyde to think for a second when he gives him the bracelet, when he's in solitary, and says, what would your wife and kid think about what you've become? And you become this monster, and like he pauses for a second, like you look at him like, what have I become? And then he decides to keep going. But, you can tell there's some kind of conscious thing in his head, that maybe, is questioning what he's doing or how far he's going,
Yeah. Yeah. So. I really dug the mystery aspect because it does. I thought I had seen this, but the more I watched, I was like, oh, maybe I hadn't seen this. Maybe I just saw trailers or something because none of this was familiar to me. So this was like my first time watching it, and I'm thinking like, does he have somebody on the inside? How is he doing all this? And then we learn later that he's tunneling into jail, as they say.
Who tunnels into jail? Yeah, and he did.
And so just figuring out like how he's doing things, and it's really suspenseful, and I think they do a good job with that, and do a good job with the pacing, because I think they easily could have showed us, what he was doing for those 10 years, like plotting his revenge and stuff. But no, we just get that jump, and it's like, we don't know how you got all this stuff. We don't know how you know all this and got the hacking thing or whatever for the first guy that dies, who is on death row. No, we don't need to know all that. All we know is you want revenge, and you're a pretty scary guy now.
Yeah, and you've got things in place that are already there, and and you believe him eventually when he's like, I'm going to tear the whole place down. I'm going to tear everybody down, and it's going to keep happening no matter where you put me, how you can find me, and eventually where it's like, the one guy who's like the kind of informant that says, his background and, creating devices that would kill like dictators and whatnot, the necktie thing. And he's just like, and they're like, how do we stop him? And he's like, yeah, I got a way to stop him. Walk into his cell and put a bullet in his head right now. That's how you stop him. And like, do that right now and you'll stop him.
Yeah.
So, and that's like, other than that, you're not going to stop him. But yeah, I was going to mention just sneaky good little side cast of character actors in this movie. I always appreciate a movie with lots and lots of character actor roles. So you get like Cole Meany, who I know from Star Trek. He was in Con Air as well. Bruce McGill, who's like his kind of, buddy that hangs around with Jamie Foxx for most of the movie. Like I said, Leslie Bibb, she's a good little actress there. Regina Hall is Jamie Foxx's wife. You get, Michael Kelly is the guy who's like the informant. And then, Viola Davis. This is very early Viola Davis before she kind of really blew up as the mayor, showing up in the back half of the movie. So that's always cool to see her.
Yeah, apparently, if you just need a really good female performance for 20 minutes, just call on Viola Davis.
Call Viola Davis and she'll deliver. Yeah,
I remember she had the small role in Doubt as well, which I think was 2007. That she
was Oscar nominated for 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, yeah.
And she's really good here. Apparently, if you just need a good, female performance who's going to be, a hard ass.
Yeah.
Call Viola Davis, and she will deliver.
Mm-hmm.
She really shines, and I mean, she shines in whatever she does. She's a really good actress. Sure. But I think some of her more notable roles are some of these where she's only in the movie for 10, 15 minutes. I mean, even the last year in Air, she's not in it for too long, but for me personally, she was one of the better parts of the movie. Like, she just stole the screen anytime she was there, and I think it's true in here. Like, when she's on screen, I was listening.
Well, even though it's this most recent Hunger Games movie, she's kind of the villain of the movie. She's good in the time she pops up. When is she not good? She's always great.
Right. Yeah. So, I am baffled by the score because I don't expect this to be like an 80, 85.
I fully expected the first time I looked it up to be like 50, 60%. That's fine because this movie isn't for everybody. But like, to have the vast majority of critics like just trash this movie, I don't understand. They're saying it's like a exploitation movie and it's just violent for the sake of it. I don't think it is. I think it's generally trying to challenge you and and some of the way you look at the world or whatever and see the way this guy's looking at the world and the way Jamie Foxx is looking at things and how much you put business over life over compassion things like that. So because I feel bad for Gerard Butler at the beginning, Clyde, when he's like Jamie Foxx is like, we just don't have, the physical evidence, the DNA guys, and he's like, no, put me on the stand. Like the jury will believe me. I swear. Like I saw everything. They will believe me. I will convince them, and she's like, no, we already made the deal. And you're just like, oh no. Like, you just feel so bad for him.
Pain,
you feel it, man. So that's why you're questioning the whole movie. You're just like, man, I don't know. Like he was wrong, it is something.
The thing that got me was I didn't expect the movie to start off the way it did either.
Yeah.
Like you see, Gerard Butler and his daughter just, having a conversation while she's making bracelets.
Mm-hmm.
And then where it goes immediately within the first 2 minutes, I'm like, oh no. And when he said, don't worry, children like me, I was like,
oh, you're just one of those guys, aren't you? Oh my God. And again, you don't need to see everything. Your mind can take you, to the dark places, this movie doesn't need to necessarily show you, which is why I don't think it's as violent as everybody makes it out to be. I think you see a lot. There's a lot of stuff that's implied that you don't graphically see in this movie.
Yeah.
But even some of the deaths, the most graphic death is the judge when she gets the cell phone thing, and it like goes like a bullet, through or whatever. That's the most graphic one.
Have they not seen a Saw movie?
Yeah, right. I mean, this is nowhere near even a Saw movie. Most of it's implied, like off screen and stuff. Yeah,
which I think is sometimes scarier.
Oh, 100%
than actually seeing it. So
sure.
But yeah, no. When I thought, because like I said, I thought I had seen this, but apparently I hadn't because none of it was familiar to me. I thought maybe. Okay, so she's going to be kidnapped, and it's going to be about him trying to find his daughter, and Jamie Foxx is like on the law side, and he's trying to do things the right way, where Gerard Butler isn't. Which is also, we've seen that before and it can work. But no, I thought this was a much better premise and much more thrilling and exciting.
Yeah.
And just hey, let's go find my daughter. Like, no, there's real motive here, and yeah, like you understand why he is the way he is. And I think Gerard Butler plays it really well. I think Jamie Foxx plays it really well. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Gerard Butler, but like this might be one of his better performances.
I think it's legitimately one of his best performances. I think most of the best performances he gave were in the 2000s because it's like everybody knows 300 and whatnot, but I think this and like P.S. I Love You, like he did some good work in his earlier career. Like a lot of people like him in that Phantom of the Opera, movie that he did in like 04, things like that. So, and yeah, he's become one of those sort of guys that just does, action movies. I get it. But I wish he would do more interesting stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like I think some of the interesting stuff where he could play like kind of a family man who's been, scoring and whatnot. He's got it in him, and I like him.
Yeah, I think what is it? Greenland's kind of like that.
Greenland's really good. Yeah, that's one of his better. More we've talked about that movie. Yeah, that movie's really underrated and underseen. And I've been a big champion of that movie since I saw it in 2020. Yeah. Like that movie's great. So and I know they're making a sequel. I know they're making a sequel to that movie. So it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder where you take a sequel. I'm interested.
Them like trying to emerge and deal with the world now after an asteroid hit it. Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, this was good. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Yeah. Hey, it's like last week we had a 3 out of 4. It's fine. it's all good.
The problem was last week we knew one of them was bad, and this week we found out.
Yeah, hey, it happens. They can't all be winners.
Glasses could not save it. But no, it's fine. Babies Day Out, Little Rascals, fun family movies with some really good comedy. Law Abiding Citizen is a really engaging, crime mystery thriller,
psychological thriller. Yeah.
It's not streaming anywhere, so if you want to see, you're gonna have to rent it, or if you have it on physical media,
I have it on Blu-ray. Yeah, it's not that expensive. It's like $10 on Blu-ray. Go get it. It's good.
So, yeah, but Little Rascals is on TV. Baby's Day Out is on
Disney Plus.
So they're available to watch. I say that like people haven't seen Little Rascals or Baby's Day Out.
I know. Those are two movies I didn't have to rewatch because I saw them so many times on cable. They're like burned into my brain. Like Little Rascals, I did anyways, but like I know that movie front to back. Like I saw it so many times on TV that like
it had been a while, so I wanted to rewatch it because it's just been a while.
Right.
But yeah, no, Baby's Day Out might just be one of those new movies that I just throw on when I want to turn it on. It's fun.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So, but yeah, no, this was a good conversation. I like this. We'll have to do something like this every once in a while. Just kind of those movies that we want to champion, or we'll realize, hey, maybe they're not as good. But no, I don't know that we've. I don't think we've discussed the next show we're gonna do. I know we have some. I think we have some ideas floating around, but we never like.
Hey, I tell you what, we could always do the wheel we didn't get to, where you spin for action for me and I spin comedy for you.
That was 80s, 90s action, right?
Yeah, I asked for 80s, 90s action. You asked for 90s comedy, right? 90s, 2000 comedy.
90s, 2000s comedy.
Yeah, so I think I have that list still in my notes somewhere. I put together a list at some point, so I may have that laying around. Otherwise, I'll just make a new one. But we haven't done, one of those
we haven't done a
blind ranking show. So why not? When you don't have an idea, let's do a blind ranking.
Let's do that. So in 2 weeks, that's what we'll be doing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, that'll be fun.
And then we'll do what we always do, and we'll pick 4 random ones out of the bag, and we'll from the numbers, and we'll review them on the following show. So
and then eventually we'll get into our anniversary series, where maybe the 2 years from the 90s will have their own dedicated episode, because 94 and 99 are pretty stacked with movies. But yeah, no. So yeah, next time we'll do another wheel. We'll each have a wheel with about 30 movies on it, but we'll only be blind ranking 20 of them. So maybe this is the one where I'll finally get a list that I like.
Sure.
Try not to wait for that number 1 spot.
Yeah,
it always seems to be my downfall.
Sure.
But no, that'll be fun. But between now and then, what else do you got going on?
No, not much. Just mostly just stuff here on the Movie Hero Network. I do have something I linked on the Shimono and Friends and Family group that we plug everything on. Myself and Jacob Cameron over on his Ryan Cam channel. We reviewed Godzilla versus Destroyer. He's going through the Godzilla series, so he's kind enough to have me on for one of those reviews. So you can find that in the Shimono and Friends and Family group. Linked it in there, and not much else going on. I'll just be co-hosting some Seen and Heard. I'll be hosting a couple of ASATs next week, so you can look out for that. I'll be hosting another ASAT rules match, and then I'll be hosting JPO versus Antonio Chavez in their little semifinal match. So I'll be guest hosting that one. There you go.
Very nice. And then, yeah, I don't have much going on. I know we had to postpone our 200th episode, so that'll be happening Monday instead of yesterday, but that will still be happening. So that'll be Monday. But tomorrow, you can catch me over on Ryan Permison's channel doing a watch along for the 30th anniversary of The Lion King, which is one of my favorite movies. So that'll be fun. I did rewatch it. It was like the first movie I decided to watch for the new year, but it's one of those movies that I don't mind watching whenever. So that'll be tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 my time. So yeah, you can catch me there. And then Lonely Marks on Thursday, we'll be discussing the Elimination Chamber event that happened today, as well as our predictions for Revolution, which Austin will be attending, so he'll give us a live report when we review that show. So yeah, no, let us know in the comments what movies are rotten that you guys like. You don't have to limit it to under 30%. We just kind of did to give ourselves some criteria to go by. Yeah, just rotten movies that you like. Let us know. Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell so you're notified when we go live. And then yeah. So thank you for watching. If you watch live, if you're watching on the replay, also thank you. So until next time, that was Austin. I'm Jacob. And we will see you next time. Goodbye now.